ॐ सहनाववतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Namaskar and good evening, good afternoon to everybody. Today is our first Vimarsh of this year, so let me wish our distinguished audience here a very happy new year, though it's a bit delayed. But since we are having it the first time, so many good wishes for the new year, and we hope that we'll have a number of very interesting talks as we have had over the last several years. So thank you very much for joining us today. We are today going to take up a subject which is India's preparedness for dealing with disasters. Now, I know it doesn't seem as glamorous and as sparkling as Hamas-Israel war or Russia-Ukraine war or Iran-Pakistan things. We'll discuss those things also. But the fact is that this is extremely, extremely important issue. It is something that we experience every day. And we, over the years, have seen that the frequency of disasters is increasing. And we must have a systematic approach to deal with this. And we have had this for the last several years. How do we do it? How are we really prepared? How well are we prepared? So some of these issues we are going to discuss. And I think this is also a very important national security issue also. But we'll talk about it a little bit later. But let me first thank our esteemed speaker, Lieutenant General Hasnain, for agreeing to talk to us about this subject. On some other occasion or any other occasion, probably I would have requested him to talk about Kashmir maybe once again, or maybe Middle East or something like that. But when I saw him giving those excellent briefings, which we were all glued to just about a month and a half ago, when the tunnel collapsed in Uttarakhand, and he kept us informed and kept hopes alive. And he was very much not only in touch with the ground situation, but he was also able to convey the situation to the rest of the country in a very sensitive manner. And he is now a member of the NDMA, National Disaster Management Authority, since 2020. So I thought that maybe I would request him to talk about his current preoccupation, which is dealing with disasters. And he has been part of many such, Uttarakhand was just one, but I know he was there in Sikkim also, and many other, even during COVID also, he was very much involved in dealing with these issues. So I thought I'll request him to give us a little insight into how in the last 4 years that he has been at the NDMA, how he has seen the organization working, and what is his general feeling about the situation in India. What is the scope of disasters that we are facing? How well prepared are we? What is it that we are supposed to do, should do? And I think awareness is one most important thing before you prepare for a disaster. For resilience, I think awareness is very important. And then, of course, you have to be prepared for it. And normally, General Vij, who was here, the director some years ago, He was the vice chairman of NDMA. He was the one who gave the initial direction and push to the NDMA. So NDMA has evolved over the years, and now we are very lucky and fortunate that General Hasnain is in the NDMA as a member. And so he would tell us. So I thought I'll request him, and he very graciously agreed to talk about this very important subject. Of course, all of you know the speaker very well. Some of you are close friends with him for the last several decades. He is a highly decorated officer of the Indian Army, and he was awarded 6 decorations by the President of India and 2 by the Army Chief. He superannuated from the Indian Army in July 13 after 40 years of active service. He is well known. One of his claim to, his visibility also comes from as being former General Officer commanding 15 Corps Srinagar, which I think, his outreach to the people there, remember, and he has talked about it also. And that was also, I think, one great experiment which was very successful in the Indian Army's efforts to win hearts and minds, etc. And General Hasnain played a very important role in that. And he is also the Chancellor of the Central University of Kashmir since 2018. And he is, of course, an expert on Kashmir. As you read his articles and you see him in television debates, and you have heard him here in the VIF also. As Chancellor of Kashmir, he has been, interacting with the Kashmiri populace very closely. So that's also, I think, and we get from him some excellent feedback on what is the situation in Kashmir, but that is for some other day. Today we are going to talk about disasters. But the fact that he is today a leading commentator on Kashmir, on West Asia, on extremist violence, and also on disasters. So that's, I think, a great feather in his cap. And also, we're very lucky that he is doing this job so well. He is an alumni of Sherwood College, Nainital, St. Stephen's College, Delhi, and the Royal College of Defence Studies, London, King's College, London, and the Asia Pacific Center for Security Studies, Hawaii. As I said, he has always been paying a lot of attention towards communication. These are very difficult issues, and they're very sensitive issues, whether it's national security. But I would also say this because disasters also have this humanitarian aspect to it. And you have to convey it in a very sensitive manner. You cannot be, you should not project as if you're in a panic. At the same time, you have to project the realistic situation and keep the expectations manageable. So I think that job he did very well. And that underlined the fact that how on these issues we should be constantly talking about it. And that's why we are raising his talk today will also raise awareness about these issues. But coming to disasters, India, as I said, India is in a way, we face disasters almost every day. In fact, we face so many disasters that we have got used to it. We probably don't even notice it. कहीं flood आया, कहीं earthquake आया, कहीं cyclone आया, we think ये हो गया. But the fact is that we have been also, our capacity to deal with them is also increased. Today, cyclones do not, cause that kind of a havoc that they used to. But nevertheless, there is a huge amount of damage that these disasters do. And today, disasters are both man-made as well as, natural disasters. And very often, the line between the two also gets blurred, because the nature is also seeing what the anthropogenic, this Homo sapiens are doing. I mean, we see what's happening on the climate change front. But some very telling figures which I came across, and I thank my researchers who brought this to my attention. And this is interesting. According to a report published by the Council for Energy, Environment and Water, 27 out of 35 Indian states and union territories are highly vulnerable two cyclones, droughts and floods. Another study by Center for Science and Environment showed that India experienced extreme weather events on 235 of the 273 days from 1st January to 30 September 2023. Almost every day, 86%. Every day there was either a heat wave or a cold wave or a flood or something or the other. So we are, and in this, there must be losses, and losses are there. In 2,900 human lives, this affected 1.84 million hectares of crop area, damaged 80,000 houses, and killed over 92,000 animals. Of course, we also should talk about animals and biodiversity, which gets lost in this, which is also a huge loss. Last year, of course, was a it was a terrible year for some of our states. We saw floods and landslides, flash floods, landslides, etc. in Himachal Pradesh. And the figure is that there were 168 landslides and 72 flash floods in Himachal Pradesh alone, which cost the state something like US dollars 1.2 billion. A small state, not very prosperous, 1.2 billion. In Sikkim, the Tista 3 dam collapsed, affecting 88,000 people, damaging 33 bridges, 16 roads and highways. And I think the impact is on the national security because so much of deployment is there, must have been there as well. Then you had Cyclone Biparjoy and Cyclone Mechung, which seriously impacted Gujarat, Rajasthan, and Tamil Nadu. So this is a recurring theme. Of course, disasters also have an international dimension because in our own neighborhood, whether it's Arabian Sea or Bay of Bengal, etc., there are also a lot of, we share borders and the similar terrain with our neighbors, etc. And it has also an international dimension. In G20, as General Hasnain was telling a little while ago, we were able to introduce a new vertical on disaster resilience. Then Prime Minister has been at the forefront of making this CDRI, Coalition for Disaster Resilience, which I think some 30, 40 countries have already joined in, and which connects with climate change. That's also something which is very important. And then, of course, we have been at the forefront for several decades, forefront of sending aid to disaster-affected areas, and Turkey was one very big example. Big earthquake took place, and I think some of the work done by our own Indian armed forces was absolutely a human service that was provided. And of course, internally, our armed forces are always providing, and NDRF has now come as a very big, important force. But nevertheless, these are, success stories. But I think overall, what is our state of preparedness? I think there is a lot that still needs to be done. And I do remember General Ridge and Mr. K.M. Singh, both of the formerly in NDMA. We had done a workshop here in 2018 and 2019 on earthquakes, and we prepared a report also. And we found, and we got a lot of people to come and talk, experts who came and talked about earthquake preparedness. If something happens in the NCR region, earthquake of Richter 6, etc., I mean, I shudder to think what will happen and how will you deal with this. We used to, of course, COVID we have seen. Tomorrow there is a problem with some biological agent or maybe some virus or something. And we saw what happened in COVID. We managed to deal with the situation, but we were basically unprepared. So what is the sense of preparedness? How much is the awareness? What are the states doing? What is the level of preparedness at the ground level? So I think these are some of the, and I think to the disasters, I will also add one more, which is the pollution. It's also a very big disaster, leads to so many other things. Anyhow, so some of these things we will talk about. And so I request General Hasnain to kindly take the floor and please inform us about. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me at the back? Aram se awaaz aa rahi hai? Good evening, Jai Hind. Thank you very much for your presence. I'm honored. I thought I would be speaking to one man and maybe something else with him. But But I'm really honored that so many people have beaten the Delhi cold and beaten 23rd December, a rehearsal for the Republic Day, and overcome the great festivities of yesterday and still come here. Because I think there's a broad realization coming about in India that we need to understand disasters, we need to understand climate, and that this is something which is going to affect us very deeply in the future. तो बहुत खुशी है मुझे that I'll be speaking in both Hindi and English. So I'm very happy. बहुत खुशी है मुझे कि some audiences come here to listen to this. I will also look at, I'll look both sides. I can read it perfectly. Now, firstly, let me start by complimenting the Indian Armed Forces. कि आज प्रधानमंत्री ने, PMO ने आज अनाउंस किया है the Subhash Chandra Bose Abda Prabandhan Puraskar, which is the first thing actually the public should know, that one of the biggest awards of India has been instituted in 2019 by Prime Minister Modi. And only three awards are given every year. One is, it can be either all three institutions, or it can be all three individuals, or it can be none at all, or it can be just one or two. So this year, only one has been given an award. And the award goes to none other than the Indian Army's 60th Parachute Field Ambulance Hospital, Field Ambulance at Agra. इन्होंने क्या किया था? कौन सी बड़ी चीज कर दी इन्होंने? Can anyone tell me? Can anyone remember? नहीं याद होगा, मैं आपको याद दिलाता हूं. टर्की में जब जबरदस्त अर्थक्वेक आया तो सबसे पहले भारत ने रिस्पॉन्ड किया. In 8 hours time, our aircraft took off from Hindenburg because we were prepared. We knew that any nation which requires our help, we are now evolving. हमारे aspirations देश के ऐसे हैं that we have the capability to bring this kind of relief to a country which is suffering from travails of various disasters. The earthquake, it hit Turkey, we were one of the first countries to respond. NDRF के एक यूनिट जिसमें 3 टीम थी, 150 आदमी तकरीबन, और साथ में पैराफील्ड एम्बुलेंस फ्रॉम आगरा. आपने तस्वीरें देखी होंगी, याद नहीं आ रहा है आपको? एक बड़ी अच्छी तस्वीर देखी होगी of a lady doctor in a parachute cap being hugged by a Turkish woman. It went iconic all over the world. Goodwill for the India, goodwill for the Indian Armed Forces, goodwill for disaster management in India, right? The award, which will be given by the Prime Minister himself, is a national award. It's a national award. Very few people have won it so far. Mr. K.M. Singh was one of them who won it, who was just being mentioned. Mr. K.M. Singh was the one who helped raise the NDRF units, of which we will talk subsequently. And this unit will receive a citation from the Honorable Prime Minister of India and receive 51 lakh rupees into his regimental funds, which is not a small sum of money anyway. So I thought I must start with some good news. Things are happening in India in the domain of disaster management. And I'm so happy that I'm a part of this evolving process, because it's a great challenge. It's a subject that's completely different. It's not well known enough yet. Today, we'll see how much I can familiarize you with it. So I'm going to give you a broad overview of disaster management in India, disaster risk resilience initiatives, some mock exercises, outcomes of this, and some food for thought. So let's start. पहले disaster होता क्या है? अगर बाहर accident हो गया किसी का, is this a disaster? No, local police comes, sorts it out. It's not a disaster. Disaster is simply this: when a local community cannot respond to an incident through its own resources and needs assistance from outside. Outside means आपको बाहर से किसी को बुलाना पड़ेगा, district authorities को बुलाना पड़ेगा, some trained people have to be called. बच्चा गिर गया, well में. You can't pull him out yourself. You have to call the army or the NDRF or someone. It's still a disaster. Recently, Baroda, you've just seen children who have died there. Very unfortunate thing which happened. You know, because of carelessness, jahan par you should be carrying enough life jackets and things like that. In India, lakhs of people die from drowning every year. This is an issue which the NDMA has not taken stock of completely. How to get rid of this issue, this problem, reduce it. Snake bite. आपको मालूम है snake bite can be a disaster. Monsoon में जब पानी जाता है बिलों में snakes के, they come out. And mass cases you have in UP, Bihar, Jharkhand of people getting bitten by poisonous snakes and die from it. What do they require? They require knowledge. They require to go through some procedures जो इसमें अपनाने चाहिए. अगर आप किसी इंडियन आर्मी के ऑफिसर से पूछ लीजिएगा कि स्नेक बाइट के लिए क्या करता है वो, ऑल ही विल से मैं टोपी पहनता हूँ, उसके अंदर एक ब्लेड होती है, उसके अंदर एक टूनिके का सेट होता है. यहाँ आई एम श्योर यू रिमेम्बरिंग इट. क्या करते हैं, टूनिके को निकाल के जहां सांप ने काटा है उसको बांध देते हैं, उसके एक नई ब्लेड से उसको स्क्रैच करते हैं वहां पर और मुंह से सक करते हैं the venom and throw it out. The only thing you have to be careful कि मुंह में कोई घाव ना हो. Right? This is all teaching. Back to basics. ये चीजें भी हम दोबारा अपना रहे हैं. We're trying to spread it out as knowledge among people. So let's remember 2001 तक the whole issue of disaster management was handled by the agriculture ministry because everyone thought कि disaster क्या है? Disaster management के लिए all you need to do is respond. अरे disaster आ गया तो कुछ आर्मी को भेज दो, कुछ डॉक्टर्स को भेज दो, कुछ इंजीनियर्स को भेज दो, थोड़ा रिपेयर कर दो वहां पर, थोड़ी डेड बॉडीज होंगी उनका डिस्पोजल कर दो, खाना पीना बांट दो. That is disaster management. This is what the understanding was. No longer. Everything changed in 1999 with the super cyclone in Odisha. Over 10,000 people died from the super cyclone. Within 2 years, we were hit by the Bhuj earthquake. Over 10,000 people died in the Bhuj earthquake. In another 3 years' time, we were hit by the Indian Ocean tsunami. More than 15,000 people died along the coastline of India. Huge disasters. Something had to be done. We started adopting what the modern world was looking at. No longer respond to disasters. Be prepared for disasters. तैयारी करके रखें आप. We show you just now what the disaster cycle is, how the disaster cycle changed completely. The first state which adopted a disaster management act for itself was the state of Gujarat. And they set up a state disaster response force based on its own police organization in 2003. After that, the National Disaster Management Act of India was enacted in 2005. NDMA was set up. NDRF came up. NIDM, the National Institute of Disaster Management, came up. All this happened thereafter. But the mother event of this, the trigger for this whole change is the passing of the Disaster Management Act of 2005. It'll be worth taking out. This is this thin booklet. NDMA की website पर जाइए कभी. Have a look at it. Browse. Don't even read it. Browse through it. You'll be fascinated. How it's been written. क्या-क्या चीजें सोच विचार करके. Now it is under revision. So you will see a reenactment or an amendment to this act in the very near future based upon the experiences that we have gained. Left side देख लीजिए. It was reactive, response and relief centric. अब हो गया proactive, prevention, mitigation and preparedness. This is the change which has happened. And it's happened across the board. At the national level, state level, district level. You can see it here. This is the structure which has been created in the nation. On the left side, central government, you see. Then you see the state government. And you see the district administration. Now, state government, 36 UTs and states in the country. So we've got 36 state disaster management authorities or Union Territory Disaster Management Authorities. And we have the, at the center, you have the central government. Here you have the NDMA, which is an authority and functions as a department of the Ministry of Home Affairs, although it comes directly under the PMO. Important thing to remember, something which makes us very proud in India. Our chairperson is the Prime Minister of India. Right? Our chairperson is the Honorable Prime Minister of India. We don't have a vice chairman at the moment, so we have the chairperson, and then we had members down below. We'll talk about it just now. Then at the state government, at the national level, also the National Disaster Response Force, NDRF, right? Which today I've got 16 battalions. We'll talk about it separately. Then you have the National Institute of Disaster Management, the NIDM, which is the knowledge hub on this whole issue, research work, etc. And then you have at the district level, 750 districts in India. All have got district disaster management authorities. The head of the district disaster management authority is the district magistrate himself, the deputy, the district collector. He is the head of it. And then below it, we are taking it to the grassroots level with the panchayat and the municipalities. Because one of the principles of disaster management is community ko karna hai. If the community can come into it, the fastest disaster management takes place. If the community is aware, then automatically the response is the fastest. If you have, for every incident, if you have to wait for the NDRF to come, कि Indian Army आए, so then it will be, the golden hour is lost. इसमें भी golden hour होता है, जैसे medical emergency में होता है, इसमें भी golden hour होता है. Where you, after a disaster, so many people can be saved. Avalanche में होता है, landslide में होता है. People can die or be saved if you respond in the correct time frame. See, three-tier mechanism at national level, state level, district level. You can see at the national level, NDRF, Defense Forces, Armed Forces, CAPFs, the Central Armed Police Forces, and all central agencies. They are the responders. State level responders are SDRF or the State Disaster Response Force and other state agencies, police forces, etc. Not too many states have made SDRF state. I wish they would. It's now 18, 19 years since the Disaster Management Act has been passed. Not many states have still. There are some states which have got outstanding SDRF. Uttarakhand ko dekhiye. Much of the response recently also was by SDRF. SDRF is involved in the Sirkyala tunnel rescue also. District level pay, you have the local police, civil defense, home guards, fire and emergency services, NGOs, the community. And something new which has come up now called the Apda Mitra. Friends in disaster. This is a scheme which the Honorable Prime Minister has launched, which the NDMA is executing. Ultimately, the aim is 100,000 volunteers trained in 325 districts of India. They are locals. And you'll be very happy to know, Balasore train accident, first responders were all Apda Mitras. They are there. वहीं पर खड़े हुए हैं, वहीं बैठे हैं, आवाज सुनी ट्रेन की भागे, and they have equipped with equipment worth about 15-20,000 rupees. They have been trained for about 12, 14 to 15 days by the NDRF. So basic skills are there. Medical ke andar, rescue ke andar, they've got the basic skills with them. And they are not paid anything. They are all volunteers. They've got equipment with them. And they've got a certain recognition in society which has been given to them. So broadly, आप देखिए NDMA का क्या है? Leave out the finance. Finance is one group. Finance तो हर office, हर organization में होता है. You got these four things: policy and plans, just like any armed forces organization. Mitigation, operations and communications, and capacity building. Those people from the army will be happy to see the ops and communication full of army, navy, air force, coast guard. वो सब है इसके अंदर. You have got Nadeem sitting here from Signals. He's also he runs much of the IT and things like that of the organization. So that's broadly the organization. It functions under these verticals. Now, why I'm showing you this particular slide at this stage is because a lot of ground can be covered here from knowledge aspect. You see, 2005 when the act was enacted, 2009 the first policy on disaster management came. Then Prime Minister Modi got elected in 2014. Now, the Honorable Prime Minister brought with him a tremendous hands-on experience from Gujarat. He was there at the time. He was in his early years as the Chief Minister when the Bhuj earthquake took place. Today, Bhuj is a model kind of a town area where the kind of resilience which has been established in the construction and the infrastructure. There's a huge museum there, very, very good museum, which displays everything which happened during the earthquake and how people overcame their earthquake subsequently. So he came with this experience. In 2016, we had the first ministerial conference on disaster management, Asian Ministerial Conference in Delhi. And preceding this, there was a protocol established called the Sendai Framework. The Sendai Framework is a 15-year protocol under the United Nations. It's on sustainable development goals and various aspects of climate change, on disaster management, etc. But what the Prime Minister brought in 2016 at the Asian Ministerial Conference was this 10-point program, the 10-point agenda for disaster risk reduction, DRR. It has become the mantra today around the world. इसको हमने G20 में भी बहुत उछाला इसको to educate people. People realize this is the finest code you can have. Now, if you just go through these 10 points, and I'll go through them in a slightly fast way, but I will explain you. If you cover these 10 things, you have covered every aspect of disaster management. Start करिए. All development sectors must imbibe the principles of disaster risk management. तो मतलब अगर आप रोड बना रहे हैं उत्तराखंड में, अगर आप टनल बना रहे हैं उत्तराखंड में, you must cater for disaster management. Anything that you're doing, if you're building a mall, then you must make sure it is earthquake resistant. You have the necessary firefighting facilities inside. You have the necessary security organization trained properly to be able to carry out necessary mitigation, response if necessary. That's the meaning of the first one. Our development sector mein, principles of disaster management must be involved. Risk coverage must include all. Every segment of society, they will get affected and eventually by climate change, by something or the other. For example, आपको मैं बता दूं, सिक्किम में जो अभी डिजास्टर हुआ है, the glacial lake outburst flood, the size of the water column was 60 to 80 feet high when it came down the Tista. 60 to 80 feet, unimaginable. It came and hit a ammunition point of the Indian Army. 154 people were there in that ammunition point. Not a single man died. Mercifully, they managed to get the warning in time and they ran. भागे ऊपर सब छोड़ के. Today that area is flush with ammunition, which has gone into the silt and things like that. Ultimately, we will have to go through the process of taking out all that and destroying it. But now you can see in a place like Sikkim, in a remote area like that, you have to just a unit of the army, a sub-unit of the army existing there has to cater for this. That this kind of a thing can happen. What are the hazards around me? A flood can take place, an earthquake can take place, someone sitting on the coast can say a cyclone can take place. You have to be aware of this. That is what the meaning of risk coverage here. Third one will gladden the hearts of all the ladies here. One of the most important aspects of disaster management. Women's leadership and involvement. Why? Because सबसे ज्यादा suffering जो होती है वो बच्चों की और ladies की होती है. In these situations, when there's a shortage of everything, men will still manage to scrounge around and find things. Women can't. You have to be sensitive to that, and that has been thought about and put into this code. Invest in risk mapping. Globally, risk mapping. Risk mapping क्या मतलब? You should be able today, through various methods, be able to predict what can happen where. For example, Chennai. Now, Chennai में अगर 3 इंच पानी बरसा, 4 इंच बरसा, 6 इंच बरसा या 10 इंच बरसा, we should be able to say अगर 3 इंच बरसा तो यहाँ तक आएगा पानी, 6 इंच बरस गया तो ये कॉलोनीज हैं उनके अंदर आएगा, अगर 8 इंच हुआ तो इस जगह पर आ जाएगा. This is a part of the risk mapping process. It happens with earthquake also. अगर इतनी magnitude का earthquake यहाँ आया तो इसका effect कहाँ कितना होगा? That's a part of mapping. Cyclone. If a cyclone is hitting Odisha and the landfall of a certain cyclone of a certain magnitude is at this place, what are the areas which are likely to get flooded? What are the areas likely to get affected? Trees kahan destroy hongi? This is all has to be mapped out. This is a part of profession. And there are lots of organizations in India who are doing it today. You'll be happy to know. You go to Bangalore, you go to Chennai, they're bhare pade hain. Khub kam kaam kar rahe hain iske upar. And this is something which is really developing. Leveraging technology. Any amount of technology is too little. I told you 10,000 people died in the Odisha cyclone. Let me tell you, can anyone guess how many people died in the Biparjoy cyclone last year? In 2023, it came in June. Not a single person. Not one man died. Intensity takriban ek hi thi. What is the secret behind it? Total mitigation. The government of Gujarat was informed by the IMD, NDMA. This is the intensity of the cyclone. It is traveling in this direction. 5 days, 6 days before the warning was given. Likely landfall here, landfall शायद shift हो सकता है. Shift अगर landfall इधर हुआ, how many people are going to get affected from mapping? Who are the people likely to get affected? And today, I mean, I will be talking about it separately. We have an early warning capability and an early warning distribution capability, sharing capability, and a system called the Common Alerting Protocol. Now, कभी-कभी आपके फोन पर भी आया होगा एक वोडा उसका एयरटेल का आया होगा testing going on, etc. This is all a part of this scheme which is happening. Now, you are there. Let's say you are located in the area of Gujarat and along the coastlines. All that the local SDMA and the DDMA will do is एक GIS map के ऊपर एक बनाएंगे गोला. That is the area of the landfall of the cyclone. On that GIS map, when they impose it, you will find that all the mobile numbers of that area will get captured. And you give one line SMS saying likely cyclone landfall at time 16:30 hours along coastline so and so to so and so to so and so. Intensity so and so, destruction likely this, take care or whatever, take precaution. You know, we generated from NDMA, SDMA 32 million messages for Biparjoy. 32 million messages. And everyone was prepared. Everyone was prepared. आगे आकर चलकर आप देखेंगे कि हमारा एक national cyclone risk mitigation program है $1 billion, which the World Bank has loaned to us. $1 billion. $1 billion रकम वही है जिसके लिए पाकिस्तान लड़ रहा है आजकल वर्ल्ड बैंक के लिए. ठीक है, $3 billion के लिए लड़ रहे हैं. हमको $1 billion वर्ल्ड बैंक ने दिया है for one program of the NDMA, NCRMP, National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Program. इसमें along the west, अभी तो ईस्टर्न कोस्ट पे या वेस्ट कोस्ट पे भी हो गया शुरू. हर तरफ जहां पर वल्नरेबल लोग हैं, जिनके पास घर नहीं है, जिनके पास झोपड़पट्टी है या छतें पक्की नहीं है, सबको वार्निंग देकर लोकल डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन विल गेट देम टुगेदर इनटू शेल्टर्स. एक शेल्टर में 300, 500, 600 लोग, खाने का बंदोबस्त, रोने का सोने का बंदोबस्त, सब वहां पर. एंड मोस्ट ऑफ द केबलिंग, बिजली के केबल जो है वो सब अंडरग्राउंड हो गए. तो फर्स्ट इफेक्ट ऑफ साइक्लोन यूज्ड टू बी ऑलवेज कि जैसे ही आया बिजली गई. वो आप दिल्ली में भी देख लो, बारिश के 2 हवा चली और योर ट्री स्टार्ट स्विंग एंड यू फाइंड लाइट्स गोइंग ऑफ. ठीक है, इन उड़ीसा इट डजंट हैपन. बिपरजॉय में नहीं हुआ. बिपरजॉय में थोड़ी देर के लिए बिजली गई. दैट इज द लेवल ऑफ प्रिपेयर्डनेस दैट टू व्हिच वी हैव रीच्ड इन दीस थिंग्स. नॉट टू से एनी परफेक्शन नहीं है, but yes, lots of efforts are going on towards that. You see the 6th point, develop a network of universities to work on disaster related issues. कल मैं कहां पर था? I was in the Raksha University, RRU, the national so-called, I mean the equivalent of National Defense University, right? जो गांधीनगर में है, अहमदाबाद में. I was there yesterday. किस लिए? They have requested, they came to us 20 days ago. Can we start a program on disaster management? Of course you can. And even with 20 people and a few people joining in online, etc., we started. Shari, hum aayenge, I'll give the opening address. I'll give the keynote address for it. I was there. We spent for 24 hours going and coming and went there. Anyone and anywhere we can spread the word of knowledge on disaster management. It's too little for us. This has to spread all over through social media, through university networks, etc., all the time. Build on local capacity and initiative. आपको मैंने आपदा मित्र का दे दिया example. Community is always the best. Train anyone in community. And it's not just Abda Mitra, it's Abda Sakhi. The ladies also who are involved in this, Abda Sakhi. Right. Then learn from disasters. Study on the lessons after every disaster. ये typical good Fauji तरीका है. The army has a thing called the Center for Army Lessons Learned, call in the Army Training Command in Shimla. Any and every operation जिसका कुछ वो होता है उसको मना करके analysis करके उसके lessons निकालो and they send them to call. Call puts them together. You can always they send out bulletins, etc. You can always learn from it. Similar thing here. Silkyara tunnel का जो हुआ, within 3 days we had 20 agencies meeting together in NDRF. And we were told very clearly, aapka bhai, please give us your inputs and your thing, which is all being compiled into something so that we can put this out on our networks, on our websites, you can access it, read it. These are all case studies which are available to students who are going to be involved in research work on disaster management. And the last one is greater cohesion in international response to disasters. I started my talk with that. HADR, Humanitarian Assistance and Disaster Response. आपने देख लिया नेपाल में देखिए नेपाल का बहुत ही बढ़िया एग्जांपल है. We haven't just left Nepal. ये नहीं कि हम गए 10 दिन के लिए 12 दिन के लिए 20 दिन के लिए आ गए वहां से. We have gone into reconstruction. We have gone into research work and we've used local capabilities. वहां की ladies को हमने lady masons बनाया है. They become masons and who are actually carrying out the repair work over a period of time. So this program has been going on over the last 6-7 years at the moment. So same thing happened with Fukushima. We went to Japan. Japan is not a country which requires any international assistance, but necessary that in these kind of situations we should go, should be seen. We should also learn from their experience, etc. So अगर आप देखें ये 10-point program जो है, it covers every domain of disaster management. And मुझे याद है जब हम कश्मीर में हम लोग शुरू में 90s में बहुत ऑपरेट करते थे तो आर चीफ ऑफ आर्मी स्टाफ के 10 कमांडमेंट्स याद है आपको? 10 कमांडमेंट्स हमको मिलते थे उन दिनों में. हर जवान अपने पॉकेट में रखता था. यहाँ कल मैंने RRU में रक्षा यूनिवर्सिटी एंड गांधीनगर ऐसे थोड़ा वहां से अगर वैसे ही उसको ले लो, get an inspiration from it, put up the 10-point program in all your corridors. So that anyone who comes and sees it and understands the 10-point program disaster का ये है. This is the things you should be aware of. This is the NDRF. We've got 16 battalions of NDRF. The best thing is NDRF came up under Mr. KM Singh and under General Widge. Now General Widge, Vice Chairman थे NDMA के. What an advantage. I mean, the world of experience he brought to that job. He could handle anything. अब जब ये organization set up हो रहा था, someone very sensible must have gone to him and said कि इसका organization क्या होना चाहिए? उनका जैसे RR battalion होती है ना, army की, वैसी बना दो उसको. And you'll be surprised, NDRF was like an RR battalion. 1150 आदमी है इसमें, 1149, 1100 होते हैं RR battalion में. ठीक है, and the best part is that they are based upon a single CAPF entity organization. जैसे कि हमारी 36 RR गढ़वाल राइफल आर्टिलरी, right? उसी तरह से you have number 1 NDRF on ITBP, number 2 NDRF on CRPF, number 3 NDRF on some other. See, regimentation. उसकी वजह से इसका कितना बड़ा फायदा हुआ है इसका. And this force is really a force to reckon with internationally. They can act to any kind of thing. We'll talk about more about it. This is their deployment. देखिए, all over the country, almost on the same pattern जैसे NSG का है, National Security Guard का. National Security Guard आपको याद है 2008 में जब मुंबई का हमला हुआ तो NSG was only in Delhi. Manesar. हमारे response में NSG got stuck between Manesar and Delhi airport. रात को ऐसा डिले हुआ कि हम यहां से मुंबई नहीं पहुंच पाए ट्रेन पर बिकॉज ट्रैफिक जैम था यहाँ लाइक टुडे देयर आर ट्रैफिक जैम्स ऑल ओवर ठीक है तो दैट इज द टाइम व्हेन दे सेड कि हब्स होने चाहिए हैदराबाद कलकत्ता बैंगलोर मुंबई मेक सेंस हब्स सेम थिंग इज हियर यू सी द हब्स all over the country you have these battalions which are there and their job is not only to respond but to train ट्रेनिंग बहुत देते हैं ये लोकल एसडीआरएफ को देते हैं they have स्कूल करिकुलम प्रोग्राम्स उनके अंदर जाते हैं हॉस्पिटल सेफ्टी के प्रोग्राम्स होते हैं उनको देखते हैं ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ थिंग्स लाइक दैट ये देखिए जस्ट सी द कंपोजिशन ओवरऑल SAR means search and rescue. Now you can just see each team in the NDRF comprises of engineers, paramedics, technicians and electricians and dog squads. Ideal thing. That's what you require for a response force to be effective, especially under collapse structures. जब structure कोई building collapse होती है, earthquake वो चीज होती है, landslide होता है. They were there very much in the Silkyara tunnel rescue also, and the last part of the rescue was done by them. Some initiatives. Now, this is what Director Saab was also telling you about this. Just take a few statistics. 58.6% of our landmass is prone to earthquakes. And end mein aakar na dekhiye the Gulf and forest fire. This is the newest hazard these days. Forest fires has become as frequent as the United States, Australia, Greece, or Indonesia. These are the main countries around the world which have forest fires. And the NDRF has now been tasked to acquire the capability of fighting forest fires. Gulf kya hai? Ye glacial lake outburst flood. What is this? What happened in Kedarnath? Kedarnath 2013 was a cloudburst on a lake, and the lake burst and came down. What happened in Chamoli, 7th February 2021, was a massive ice fall. The size of 6 football fields, a block of ice came crashing down from the mountains, came into the valley down below. The friction generated so much of water. Air blast, aisa air blast aaya, just 3 kilometers on both sides, all the trees got wiped out. And all the trees fell into the debris. So the water with all these tree stumps came down as a debris. And it came and hit a under construction project of the National, was it NHPC or NTPC, National Thermal Power Corporation project. It's called Tapo 1. We had a 45, it took 45 minutes from the event till the time it hit the Tapo 1 tunnel, Tapo 1 project. But we had no early warning. उस 45 मिनट्स के अंदर अगर अर्ली वार्निंग होती तो सब आदमी हट जाते यहां से टनल के अंदर 200 आदमी काम कर रहे थे all got hit and we lost 200 lives because of that. Today now it is mandated anywhere there's a project on the mountains like this, it will have an early warning system above it. Can it be physical? It can be by various other means, but there has to be some kind of an early warning system for them. So these are the broad things. The only most recent block has been the Sikkim flood. It has been a terrible, terrible tragedy. Some initiatives taken in India, otherwise for disaster risk resilience. You have the NCRMP, मैंने अभी बात की आपको 1 billion program, आपदा मित्र scheme की मैंने आपको बात कर दी, National School Safety Program, both for education and at the same time also for risk mitigation. Schools के अंदर अगर earthquake आ गया 9 बजे दिन में अगर earthquake आ गया सब schools खुले बच्चे हैं schools के अंदर. How do you make sure that they don't suffer because of that? So these are aspects of school safety which are not only earthquake, fires होते हैं बहुत दफे, आग लग जाती है स्कूलों में. This recent thing which has happened in Baroda, this lake tragedy. These kind of things are all avoidable. A national project to integrate alert generating and disseminating agencies and disaster management authorities through the common alerting protocol, which I just explained to you. How Biparjoy के अंदर हमने वो 32 million messages भेजे थे. अभी in the next cycle of this development of this technology, आप देखेंगे कि अभी जब हम SMS डालते हैं तो एक queuing effect होता है. You know, the band is not so wide enough to be able to allow the entire messages to go in one burst. तो कभी-कभी 6 घंटे लग जाते हैं. हम दे यहाँ से SMS और आपको 6 घंटे के बाद मिलेगा. Now to overcome that, now you have a thing called a cell broadcast. The cell broadcast occupies much less bandwidth. So hundreds and thousands of messages can go out simultaneously. This is the technology being perfected, and that's what the experiment you're seeing on your mobiles from time to time. That is the technology which is being perfected. Then you also have a new thing called the ERSS, Emergency Response Support System. ये 112 most people in India are still not aware of 112. एक common number है पूरे भारत में for emergency 112. आपका अगर आप यूपी में जाकर लखनऊ में जाकर देखिए उनका जो सिस्टम है ये massive building जो 112 linked building है, thousands of computers, everyone is saying and waiting for these 112 calls. And 112 आया आपके पास, you will respond. Right? It can be a mostly crime related. Mostly crime related. अब उसको क्या किया है, ERSS के थ्रू हमने इसको disaster related भी कर दिया है. अगर कोई ऐसी चीज हादसा हो गई जो which is considered a disaster, then the person who rings up on 112, the call will go to the police control room, right? The moment the person explains कि ये हुआ है, he understands ये crime का case नहीं है, ये case आपदा का है, disaster का है. He will immediately transfer it through a technology which we adopted now straight to the Emergency Operations Center of the State Disaster Management Authority, SDMA, which is supposed to be manned at all times. Maybe in an odd case may not be, but it's manned all the time. और वहां पर वो कॉल आएगा and they are the ones then who will send the first responders. आपदा मित्र को भेजेंगे, एनसीसी को भेजेंगे, NYKS को भेजेंगे, किसी ना किसी को रिस्पांस के तौर पे भेजेंगे. Then of course international level पे हमने CDRI, which is that's I was just mentioning it, is now 39 nations who have joined the CDRI. This is the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, which means आप जो कुछ भी बनाएंगे दुनिया में इसके टेक्नोलॉजीज को एक कॉमनैलिटी के तौर पे understand these requirements, the challenges. एयरपोर्ट बना रहे हैं आप, which is a part of infrastructure. रोड बना रहे हैं कहीं, डैम बना रहे हैं कहीं, right? So there are some common norms which have to be followed. This is the office of theirs is at Copernicus Mark. Very, very interesting organization. They are a adjunct to disaster management. They are not part of NDMA, but we have a lot of truck with this organization. NCRMP, ये मैंने आपको जो बताया था shelters, देख लीजिए आप बाएं तरफ, multi-purpose cyclone shelters, ये हैं shelters, जिसके अंदर 200, 250, 300, 400 अलग-अलग shelter के size के मुताबिक saline embankments बनाए हैं, bridges बनाए हैं, connecting roads हर तरफ हैं, underground cabling which I spoke about. All this is happening as a part of it. Abda Mitras, I spoke to you already. Training of community volunteers in earthquake, landslide, cyclone and flood response. School safety program, you should be aware of that everywhere, wherever, and schools can volunteer for it. We, through the district authorities, spread the word around to make sure more and more schools get, enjoined with this whole thing. And community awareness. जहां पे भी हमारे mock exercises के अंदर, etc., we'll speak about it shortly. This is the common alerting protocol system. I've already explained this to you largely. Now the next phase, you will find that आप स्टेशन पर खड़े हैं, रेलवे स्टेशन पे, suddenly एक warning आ गई, आपके इलाके में your area is also directly get affected. आप देखेंगे कि वहां पर रेलवे स्टेशन पर जितनी होर्डिंग्स हैं, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक होर्डिंग्स, वो सब बंद हो जाएंगी. And only the messages of alert, only messages of alert will start coming. Television की screens हैं वहां पर, notices हैं about train arrival, ये वो हर चीज के ऊपर flashing will only be of the warning being given to you for disaster. The similar thing will also happen with National Highway Authority of India. आप जा रहे हैं यहाँ से चंडीगढ़ या लखनऊ जा रहे हैं, रास्ते में वो बड़ी-बड़ी होर्डिंग लगी हुई है आपकी, उसके ऊपर जो है ये signs आने लगेंगे. The moment that area is likely to get struck by some kind of a disaster. So this is happening in a big way wherever you are. आपको कुछ ना कुछ warning जरूर मिलेगी, या आपके फोन में मिल रही है warning, आपको visual warnings मिल रही है हर जगह. This is the ERSS, which I spoke about, 112 number. This is the multi-hazard early warning system. Similar, need-based for all these. I'll cut down on time. Now, ये early warning system जो develop हो रहे हैं, there are different nodal agencies which are involved in it. Cyclone के लिए, for example, is the IMD, which is the best known department otherwise. Tsunami, wonderful organization we have in Hyderabad called INCOIS, the Indian National Center for Oceanic Information Services. They can give, and this is not for India alone, this is for the whole of Southeast Asia. This organization caters for entire Southeast Asia. Then earthquake ke liye, of course, the National Center for Seismology, floods ke liye, Central Water Commission, the landslides, it is GSI, and avalanches ke liye, what used to be known as the SASE, Snow and Avalanche Research Institute Establishment, SASE, now is known as Defense Geoinformatics Research Establishment. So these are the various ministries which look after them. Incidentally, every ministry is mandated under the Disaster Management Act of India to make a disaster management plan. And that plan has to be passed by NDMA. So from time to time, we find ministries come to us, they present their plans to us, we ask them to review some things, contribute something else here and there, refine them. But this is an ongoing process at all times. You'll be happy to know that as a part of mock exercises, although it will come up later, but I might as well kill it here, as part of training and mock exercises, during the G20, we started the system of doing non-aviation disasters at airports, international airports. Aviation disaster ke liye to airport itself caters everything, right? But non-aviation ke liye airport में आग लग गई, ठीक है, सामान के होल्ड में आपके आग लग गई कहीं जहाँ पर लगेज होता है, बहुत lot of luggage lying there, right? Or you have a gas problem, gas leak हो गई कहीं, you never know किस तरह से someone is carrying something and you have a gas leak. So to cater for all this, we have now started looking at airports. So we have already done Calcutta Airport, Chennai, Bangalore Airport, we've done Delhi को कर दिया है, Mumbai कर दिया है. We've already done all these, and we're going to do this on an annual basis. Every year, keep revising this from time to time. You'll be happy to know a lot of work is going on by Google on earthquake alert. Earthquake alert एक ऐसी चीज है, landslide और earthquake को predict करना बड़ा मुश्किल है. It's almost impossible sometimes, right? But there is science is developing. So Google, through its Android system, is now looking at trying to give you a 30-second, 45-second, 60-second warning, which means if you are in a high-rise building, at least you can get under your tables or your chairs or whatever the warnings are. If you are not in a high-rise building, if you are in a normal structure or under it, you can go outdoors immediately if you get that warning. 30 seconds, 45 seconds is good enough to evacuate a building if it's a single-storied building. So this is something very interesting which is happening. We are on it at the moment. I won't say it's commercialized yet, complete, but this is something which is happening in the future. Resource availability, visibility is something which is very important. You see, अगर कहीं पर disaster हो, and you are aware of the, for example, let's talk about Silkyara. For Silkyara के लिए, I won't have very much time, so let me try and kill Silkyara. Silkyara tunnel का हुआ, remote Himalayas. एक तो ना NDRF वहां पर है नहीं, SDRF Eastern time, they did a wonderful job, Eastern time. NDRF आई उसके बाद. Now you realize कि इसके लिए तो भाई you need all kinds of drilling equipment and this and that. कहाँ से क्या मिलेगा? Fortunately, General VK Singh was typical good army way. He was camping there only. जो कुछ चाहिए होता था, they used to go to General VK Singh and he used to give a decision कि भाई उसको करो, जो लोग बताते थे उनको कि भाई इस जगह से अवेलेबल है। इक्विपमेंट वाज कमिंग फ्रॉम उड़ीसा, इंदौर, गुजरात, कहां से इक्विपमेंट नहीं आया सिर्फ 11 के लिए। And it came on flatbed rolling stock, it came on trucks, it came on by C-17 of the Indian Air Force, and Vande Bharat band kar दी थी ना, there were days on which Vande Bharat was closed down, put out, isko delay karo, let this equipment go first. That's the kind of priority they gave to disaster, right? So what you need to know at any time is कहाँ पर disaster आया है, इस इलाके में resources क्या है हमारे पास to overcome the disaster. For example, सिक्किम में आ गया, तो सिक्किम के अंदर आपको मालूम है इंडस्ट्री है, रांगपुर के अंदर, रानीपुर के अंदर काफी इंडस्ट्री आ गई है वहां। इनके पास क्या है? What are the equipment that they've got with them? So we have now a facility called IDRN, Integrated Disaster Resource Network, IDRN. Now, this is a website. It's run by NIDM, National Institute of Disaster Management. You're mandated these days, or advised, at least not mandated. Chalo, we advise everyone, any industry, they buy something new. You have bought a Caterpillar, you have bought a JCB, you have bought some huge equipment which can come in handy. Populate our website. कि ये हमारे पास इस जगह इस district में यहाँ पर है. All district magistrates have been given this thing to do it. So over a period of time, you have got a repository of information available. If I want to, if there's an act which has happened here, इस जगह पर इतना सामान available है. मैं आपको example दूं. I personally went for Chamoli disaster. Chamoli में problem हो गया था. In the sense, no one knew किसके पास क्या है. Very few people knew that there is a border roads organization. They've got earth moving plant. There is a field company of the Indian Army and the part of the Independent Armed Brigade there. किसी को नहीं मालूम था कि इनके पास भी इतना बहुत सा plant है. So when the plant equipment of the NHPC project got washed away or got buried, no one had an idea कि कहाँ से equipment को ला. If you are a part of IDRN, if you are educated on IDRN, which is what we keep doing to everyone, all the districts and all the management authorities, you will immediately switch on to your computer, go onto the website and say, मेरे इलाके में ये क्या है? And you can make a thing, tell the DC himself can order this equipment be brought immediately. So this is a very useful thing. Disparate equipment lying around, जिसकी use कभी किसी को मालूम नहीं कब होगी, it can happen in a collective way. You can bring it together. That's the whole idea. I'm sorry, I've taken a rough time. I'll take a minute or more, nothing more. Incident response system is something which is very important in this. All organizations which are involved in disaster management, they need to use this. Be aware of this. It is nothing but the creation of basic SOPs. You have an incident commander, you have a responsible officer. कौन है आपका responsible officer district में for so and so thing? Who is your incident commander? अगर कुछ incident हुआ railway station पे, तो incident commander कौन होगा? अगर आप उस time सोचेंगे कि incident commander अब nominate करूँगा, he'll have no idea what to do. So there's a system, there's a method in this whole madness which is being created. You must see this film, recent film on Netflix which has come out on the Bhopal tragedy. What do you call the railwaymen? Now, you must see that. It's a classic case of how awareness, Bhopal railway station, if the railway trains had been stopped, if they had stopped that night at the railway station, how many thousands would have died? Because that was the area most affected by the gas. Right? And how, because of the awareness of a police, of a station master, this was averted, preventing these trains from stopping there at that particular time. Everything comes from awareness. You see, we do lots and lots of mock exercises. हर वक्त हम करते रहते हैं. Today there are states which are very deeply involved. There are states which are not so deeply involved. But we have consultants with us, very trained, very, very well experienced consultants from the armed forces, from the police forces, from Coast Guard, who go to the state capitals and different areas, institutions ke paas. Abhi humne 5 days ago we have done at the Hotel Taj Mansingh for Republic Day. What exercise? CBRN. What potential leakage of chemical, leakage of radiation. Anything can happen. So at least we are getting aware of all this. And we have 22 agencies joining us for that exercise. Pehle there's a tabletop exercise, and then there's a exercise on the ground. So this, and then it is projected to people also, so that there is confidence building among the public. They should be aware. And any enemy, any adversary who's watching this should also be aware that we are prepared for these kind of contingencies today. I won't go into this. There's just a few photographs to show you how these exercises are conducted all over the country. Search and rescue in floods. You see, this year itself, if you look, Ludhiana gas leak, the district magistrate was a lady. What a superb job she did. She saved the thousands of lives by her timely decisions. Only 11 people died. Evacuation of an area of 300 meter by 300 meter in the heart of Ludhiana city, where this has happened. She just gave orders to evacuate. And people had to listen to her. And that's what saved lives. The Balasore train accident, 293 people died in this. The district magistrate did a marvelous job of handling this whole thing. I mean, the district authorities, of course, everyone joined into this whole effort. The NDRF came in subsequently, etc. The Abda Mitras were all there, but amazing it was. Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh landslides. Unfortunately, landslide is a domain in which disaster management is still in its very, very weak state, I would say, overall. Sikkim glacial lake outburst. We've had an incident-free Char Dham Yatra, except for the Sulkyara tunnel, which is not a part of the Char Dham Yatra yet. And Sri Amarnath Yatra. I personally go to Kashmir to make sure both sides, we do both the axis, we do a mock exercise with the local authorities there, the army, etc., everyone there. We've had last year. This year has been good. Last year was a bad year when we had that unfortunate incident at the Holy Cave itself. And we had Cyclone Biparjoy, 0 fatalities in Gujarat. So you can see things are moving. No one is claiming that we are 100% there. Things are moving. We are much better than what we ever were. Operation Dost, Turkey. This is what got the field hospital their award today. Sulkyara tunnel collapse some other day. I will definitely not talk on the issues of disaster management as much as I will talk on the aspects of leadership. This was real leadership, right? And someone will ask the question at the end, who got the idea of calling the rat miners? Yeah, I can't say. Right? Who gave them the term rat miners? They're not known as rat miners. The correct terminology for them is manual pipe pushers. They're known as manual pipe pushers. This was told to me by none other than Munna Qureshi, who I met. We honored Munna Qureshi and his whole team of 12 people. They are people who are capable of working in an enclosed space. Now, 60 meters inside, an enclosed space of 1 meter, you're going 60 meters inside with an oxyacetylene lamp, right? Flame. And you're working 1.5 hours inside to cut the auger to bring it out. I think only Superman can do a thing like this. No one thinks that there can be existing such people around. The idea of using the rat miners came from a contractor in Dehradun, unsung. No one has even mentioned his name. He's the one who said, "Ye to bade, inki to badi kabiliyat hai." So many times, community awareness. That is what actually saves the day more than anything else. So disaster economic losses are 1% of the GDP, almost. Most nations. Lots of things are there in the pipeline. Lots and lots of things. The technology, particularly in the issue of technology and awareness. What is most important is this aspect of mapping early warning, awareness, and this entire thing put together into a package for general public, it will actually save a tremendous amount of lives in these situations. Thank you very much. I've come to that.
Thank you very much. I think you have covered the entire background and also explained how things are beginning to move. We'll have some question and answers, but I think the most important part probably is awareness in this, so that you are prepared. So you're going to schools and you're going to other places. But I think that's one area perhaps we have to increase quite a lot. And of course, we can take help of the technology. The fact remains that disasters are so huge the scale is so huge in India. And how do we get particularly children, the people on the roads, and wo last minute afra tafri hoti hai, coordination. So Apada Mitra is a good thing, but like we have many Mitras these days, in various fields, but again, it depends upon their training and their commitment and so on. So the suggestion would be that we ought to have some independent assessments also of these initiatives, independent assessments, so that the confidence in these increases. Otherwise, everybody you tell the district minister, sab hamare yahan sab kaam kar raha hai. काम शायद करता भी होगा, but एक independent assessment थोड़ी हो, तो that would be very useful. So I open this for now. Any Q&A? जी.